This digital model visualizes a world where the reach of state power is defined by the depth of a nation's compute clusters. We are looking at a global extraction system. Two primary hubs ingest the world's raw data to train models dictating the future of global production. The US-China AI rivalry represents a structural bid for systemic hegemony. Both powers are racing to set the foundational standards for the 21st century economy, attempting to lock in technological dominance for the coming decades. Washington utilizes its control over high-end semiconductor manufacturing equipment as a force multiplier, leveraging export controls to contain its rivals' development. Beijing counters by injecting massive state capital into indigenous innovation, seeking to build a self-sufficient technological stack that functions independently of Western supply chains. For the Global South, this dynamic facilitates data colonialism. In this cycle, raw personal and economic data is extracted from local populations, refined by foreign-owned algorithms, and sold back as proprietary services. Passive technology consumption in this era leads directly to state vassalage. For Pakistan, surviving the next decade requires repurposing AI from a consumer product into a defensive tool for climate resilience and economic parity. The United States maintains its technological edge through the small yard, high fence strategy, restricting access to critical high-end semiconductors while maintaining aggressive enforcement. This creates weaponized interdependence. By controlling the hardware choke points, the dominant powers can force non-aligned states into specific digital blocks, effectively dictating their strategic alignment. This control erodes epistemic sovereignty, the fundamental power of a state to manage information and define reality for its own citizens. When data routes through a black box foreign algorithm, the power to decide moves abroad. These systems filter information and automate critical decisions. Programmed to funnel capital and bandwidth back to the host network, they leave the local user with a filtered, second-tier information environment. Relying entirely on imported algorithmic infrastructure results in the quiet surrender of constitutional sovereignty to corporate entities in the global north. Within Pakistan, these algorithms pose an immediate threat to social cohesion. The attention economy is mathematically designed to maximize engagement by surfacing content that is emotional, polarizing, or divisive. This stylized map shows the cognitive domain under the stress of fifth-generation warfare. Disinformation campaigns and AI narratives target citizens, paralyzing rational decision-making. Tech-facilitated gender-based violence, including deepfakes and organized trolling, is frequently used to discredit and silence women in the political arena. These digital attacks act as a psychological deterrent. By targeting the reputation of capable individuals, these campaigns hollow out democratic institutions and reinforce elite capture. In response, the state often resorts to digital authoritarianism. Internet shutdowns and connectivity throttling are used as blunt instruments to maintain control over a narrative the state no longer understands. These measures sabotage the local tech economy, widening the north-south divide and deepening the nation's dependence on foreign platforms. Without indigenous algorithmic systems capable of understanding local context, the state remains trapped in a cycle of reactive censorship that erodes its own social contract. Pakistan cannot solve this by attempting to replicate the massive compute scale of Silicon Valley or Beijing. Institutional bottlenecks and energy instability make that path impossible. This blueprint maps a pragmatic path, the National AI Policy 2025, targeting specific sectors for domestic stability. The National AI Fund serves as the engine. By mandating a 30% allocation of R&D budgets, the state aims to seed a domestic AI ecosystem. The policy shifts towards a niche problem-solver strategy. This means bypassing high-cost vanity projects to fund startups that address acute Pakistani problems, such as water resource management and agricultural productivity. In a resource-constrained environment, AI must be deployed as a targeted defensive weapon against systemic domestic failure. Pakistan accounts for less than 1% of historical global emissions, yet it suffers economic losses exceeding $30 billion from a single flood season. These staggering costs make the deployment of AI for climate resilience an existential necessity. The rapid melt of glaciers in the Hindu Kush Himalaya region directly threatens the nation's water security, requiring advanced monitoring systems that the current infrastructure lacks. These external shocks are worsened by a 20th century irrigation system that wastes nearly half of all diverted water due to poor management and leaky canals. This model shows how AI bridges the gap. Integrating IoT sensor data with predictive models transforms the Indus River Basin into a managed resource. Zooming into farms reveals an agritech revolution. Precision agriculture uses satellite data to optimize water, protecting yields against a volatile climate. However, deep-seated skepticism among traditional farming communities creates a trust deficit that stalls the adoption of these new digital tools. To solve this, successful local startups are building hybrid models. They use AI-driven analytics to empower local agronomists, leveraging human trust to ensure the technology is actually implemented on the ground. Lasting climate resilience is achieved only when high-end algorithmic analysis is successfully integrated with traditional human labor. This split-screen diagrams the two paths available to the Global South. AI can function as an efficient system for extracting data wealth upward, or it can provide the mechanism for a developing economy to bypass traditional industrial stages. Transitioning to the second path requires moving from theoretical guidelines to binding legal frameworks, including a national AI law mapped to international safety standards. It also necessitates mass-scale digital literacy to bridge the divide between urban centers and underserved rural populations. Finally, the state must integrate advanced AI capabilities across its civil and military institutions to ensure a unified national strategy. To survive the geopolitical AI revolution, a state must prioritize its human capital over imported algorithms, ensuring its technological evolution fiercely defends both its constitutional and environmental sovereignty.